Greetings, this is Dslyecxi from the Arma community group ShackTac. In cooperation with Bohemia Interactive, I'm creating a series of videos that explain some of the basics of Arma 3. Today we'll be looking at the role of a ground vehicle crewman and what that entails. Depending on your playstyle, there's a great deal of depth to be found both in operating as a vehicle crew, as well as taking part as that crew in a much larger combined arms scenario. As in reality, a vehicle in Arma 3 requires several different people to operate efficiently. For our purposes, we'll be covering three specific roles: the driver, gunner, and vehicle commander. Some smaller vehicles may combine the gunner and vehicle commander roles, but on most larger ones you'll see all three represented. As with Arma as a whole, there are many different ways to play the game, and this video represents just one possible method by which to go more in depth with your vehicle operations. There are three primary classes of vehicles that we'll be looking at, from most powerful and protected to least. These are tanks, infantry fighting vehicles or armored personnel carriers, and general troop transports. Some are meant primarily for fighting, while others are mostly about moving infantry from one place to another in a rapid and protected fashion, then supporting them in combat. Regardless of whether you're carrying infantry or not, the biggest single factor to a vehicle's effectiveness is how well the crew operates together. Good teamwork amplifies effectiveness and allows for a vehicle's potential to be used to the greatest effect, while lacking teamwork tends to result in the untimely demise of a vehicle crew, and anyone unfortunate enough to be embarked in it at the time. This is the first layer of teamwork. On top of that, you have teamwork as it relates to other assets in a combined arms setting, be they other vehicles, dismounted infantry, or anything else that might be operating along with you on the battlefield. For a crew to operate at peak efficiency, they first need to understand both the strengths and limitations of their vehicle of choice. Most obvious is the armor protection. At the minimum, an armored vehicle crewman can expect to be able to mostly ignore small arms fire. Infantry rifles and light machine guns simply don't have the power to punch through even the lightest vehicle armor, though heavy saturation of armored windows, such as those found on MRAPs, can eventually shatter them. Vehicle weapons are also a significant strength. Due to being mounted on a vehicle, weight becomes less of a factor, and you'll see far larger armaments carried by vehicles than what the infantry can lug around. Medium and heavy machine guns, automatic grenade launchers, cannons or autocannons, and missile launchers can all be found on different vehicles. Laser rangefinders make these extremely accurate. By simply pointing at a target or a location, the rangefinder will display the distance, which the gunner can dial in with his range adjustment keys. Machine guns can be fired accurately at over a kilometer via these adjustments, with cannons pushing that range even further due to the explosive nature of their damage. Mobility is the next big strength of vehicles. Whether tracked or wheeled, a vehicle can far outpace infantry in almost any terrain. Obstacles that might stop or delay infantry, such as fences and compound walls, can be smashed open by a sufficiently heavy vehicle. The high mobility of vehicles also allows for infantry to be rapidly moved from place to place while keeping them fresh and rested for an upcoming fight. Finally, the optic packages on vehicles are very impressive. In addition to the aforementioned laser rangefinding, vehicle sensors tend to have varying stages of magnification with very high maximum zoom levels. Many sensors have daylight, night vision, and thermal modes as well, allowing the crewman to pick what best suits their needs in any given scenario. Combined with the laser ranging and weapon adjustment, a vehicle can spot and engage targets from a very long range with a high degree of accuracy, making them extraordinarily lethal at a distance. Cooping yourself up inside a vehicle has the result of limiting your awareness of the outside world. Due to the design of the vehicle, you may only have a small vision port to look out of, or a sensor with a limited field of view. While some vehicles allow different positions to turn out to observe from their hatches, this brings with it a significant risk as well, as it's giving up the protection of the vehicle's armor in order to gain extra visibility. The decrease in situational awareness in a vehicle further emphasizes crew coordination, in addition to rewarding the use of infantry as screening and security elements for vehicles. The bigger and louder you are, the more attention this tends to draw your way. Vehicles suffer from this. While a platoon of infantry might be able to covertly approach an area, it's unlikely that a collection of vehicles is going to be able to get nearly as close, without their engine and other mechanical noises giving them away. Vehicles are big as well, making them easier to see from a distance and harder to conceal. Finally, vehicles are vulnerable to heavy weapons as well as other vehicles. Rocket and missile launchers pose dangerous threats even to the heaviest of armor, where even a single hit can cripple an important system like the turret, the wheels, or the tracks. Multiple hits can quickly turn fatal. Wheeled vehicles are even more vulnerable than their tracked cousins, as lighter weapons can shred through the wheels and cause a vehicle to lose mobility. When it comes down to crew responsibilities, the three most significant roles are that of the commander, the gunner, and the driver. The commander sits highest in the vehicle and is a senior member of the vehicle. They direct the gunner and driver while staying in coordination with other friendly assets. The commander often has access to smoke grenade dischargers that can be used to hastily conceal the vehicle from enemy threats. Some of these deploy in an arc to the front of the turret, while other vehicles have a full 360-degree smoke deployment pattern. Commanders also sometimes have special machine guns that can be swiveled independently of the main turret, allowing them to contribute towards anti-infantry fighting. The gunner is in charge of the main armament of the vehicle. They scan for and engage targets under the commander's supervision and direction, and are familiar with when to use high explosive or armor-piercing ammunition based on what they're engaging. The gunner also typically has access to a machine gun for anti-infantry use, as well as sometimes having guided missiles for use against heavier targets. The gunner is familiar with how to range and adjust the weapons for more distant targets, will sometimes even give the driver movement orders in order to help get them the best possible angle while still defending against enemy fire. The vehicle's driver maneuvers the vehicle in accordance with the commander's directions, and as noted, sometimes the gunner's. The driver takes initiative in placing the vehicle behind appropriate cover and concealment when moving from place to place, as well as angles the front of the vehicle towards the most significant threat direction when halted or during engagements. Streamlined communication makes for the most efficient vehicle operation, so, to that end, let's talk briefly about what works well for intra-vehicle communication. As mentioned before, the commander is the one giving the bulk of the orders within the vehicle, directing both the driver and the gunner as needed. When giving an order to a crew member, they refer to them by their role instead of their name. Thus, the gunner is called gunner and the driver is called driver. This helps to keep things simple regardless of who's actually manning a given position. To get the driver or gunner looking or facing in a given direction, an orientation command is given, generally by giving a specific compass bearing, which can be visualized through the compass of the HUD. For instance, the commander might say, "Driver, orient 135," in order to get the vehicle's front pointed in that direction. Or the commander might designate a target to the gunner by saying, "Gunner, tank, 250, 1200 meters," where 250 is the bearing to the target. The commander can also use turning commands with the driver. These are full, half, and quarter turn commands. A full turn is 90 degrees to the left or right, while a half turn is 45 degrees, and a quarter turn roughly 23 degrees. Simply saying, "Driver, half left," will get the driver turning to the correct heading. In addition to these, a commander can simply ask for a turn in a given direction, and then tell the driver to steady once they've turned to the desired heading, as well as detail a specific direction via the HUD's compass display. Movement commands are forward to go forward, which can be modified to forward slow, or forward fast to vary the vehicle's speed. Halt will signal a stop, while reverse is as it sounds. That covers a basic operation of multi-crewed vehicles. As with all things, practice is essential towards getting the most out of the experience. The increase in survivability and lethality that comes from being a well-trained and properly communicating vehicle crew will help to make your vehicle experiences even more enjoyable, as well as enhance the enjoyment of the troops you're supporting through transport or combat. For more community guide videos, be sure to subscribe to the official Arma 3 YouTube channel. For other Arma 3 updates, keep track of the official website, Facebook, and Twitter pages. If you like more in-depth tutorial and multiplayer gameplay of Arma 3 and the previous Arma games, I recommend you check out my channel here. This is Dslyecxi, and until next time, take care.